Welcome back to Date Time. We're back with one of our monthly segments we call Job Joy. And joining us is George Dutch, as usual, a career passion consultant. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Derek. Thanks.
Now, as I understand, George, today we're going to be talking about the interview, which I can tell you from experience is one of the most stressful things for me. So anything you can do to help me, I'm going to love it.
You looking for another job?
No. Don't panic. Or actually, don't celebrate.
And it's true that a lot of work goes into a job search or a career transition to get to the point to have an interview. And yet studies show people will do less preparation for an interview than any other element in the job search.
Why don't people understand how important the interview is? Because isn't that really, everybody's got a lot of jobs. You're going to get 200 resumes, right, that look almost the same. So isn't that the most important part, is selling yourself?
I think that is the most important part. You have to have a value proposition that makes sense for the job, and you have to communicate that with some clarity and confidence in an interview, and you have to do it all within 45 minutes to 90 minutes.
Wow. Now, we were going to talk about 5 tips. You have 5 tips to get an almost unfair advantage in an interview. Let's look at the 5 tips.
What I advise people to do is, before they go to an interview, take some time to think about the interview from the employer's point of view. We're always wrapped up in our own self-interest, what we want from the job and what we want out of the interview, but we don't spend enough time thinking about it from the employer's point of view. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is, before they go to an interview, to get into the right mindset. There's a number of assumptions that people have that can lead them down the wrong path. One of them is, when they go to an interview, they think they're back in high school, they default to being back in high school, and they're going to a test.
Yeah.
All right? Okay. That people are going to ask them questions and they have to have the right answers. That's not what an interview is about, okay?
And that's where the stress comes in,
that's
I guess,
where the stress
right?
comes
is that mentality.
Exactly. An interview is an opportunity to sit down and have a dialogue with people, a serious conversation about why this job might be a good fit for you, not a test, okay? And people will default to that position of having a test, and they do themselves a vast disservice. The other thing I encourage people to think about is, before they go to an interview, don't assume that the people who are interviewing you know what they're doing.
Oh,
really?
Boy, do I have stories about that. It's true, though. Okay, you do the interviews today and just let me know if you like it. And then you're sitting in front of someone who doesn't even seem to know half of what you know. I've had that.
Yeah, many hiring managers in an interview situation, they're busy managing plans, priorities, budgets, schedules, equipment, machinery. They are not trained to hire, they don't enjoy hiring, and they're not very good at it. So for them, the interview is also very stressful, Derek.
So isn't that an opportunity to take advantage of that situation going into the interview?
What I tell my clients is it's your responsibility to make sure that you communicate to the best of your ability your value proposition, because don't rely on the interviewers to pull it out of you. Therefore, an interview is a two-way street. You have to ask as many questions as the interviewers do.
All right, so we've got
1 and 2.
1 and 2, what's the next one?
Find out what the employer is looking for.
Yeah, behind every hiring decision is some kind of agenda. All employers have challenges, problems, issues that they're trying to solve with a particular position. They might not even know what it is directly, but there's something driving that hiring decision. And part of your responsibility as the interviewee is to try to uncover what that is. So you have to ask questions, like, if you were to hire me for this position, what would be my #1 priority for the first year? What's your long-term vision for this organization? Where would you see me fitting in 3 years? You have to ask questions to try to pull out of them what is behind the hiring decision. It's almost as if you have to have a target so that you can respond to the questions knowing what it is they're trying to find out. If you don't know what they're trying to find out, you could ramble on and say all kinds of things that aren't pertinent whatsoever to the hiring decision.
So I guess people have to lose that fear of because I think, when you start talking about something like questioning that person about the job, someone feels, almost arrogant. Hey, where am I going to be in 3 years in this company? But you've got to get rid of that mindset, right? And
yes, you do, Derek. You really have to take responsibility for what it is that you want out of the position, and also to be clear about why this position is vacant. What are they hoping to achieve with it? What's the goals or objectives they're trying to achieve with this position? Because it might not be a good fit for you. And you might be going from the frying pan into the fire.
And it shows genuine interest in the job itself, too.
And at a young age, I did something like that where they had something open and it wasn't for me. And then she said, you know what, I know exactly where you should be, and I ended up going to front desk at a hotel, which is where I wanted to be, but it was that dialogue. I'm surprised at the age of 18 I was bold enough. Together, it's like we knew where I meant to be.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Kathy. Catherine, because studies show that hiring managers, 43% of the time, they create a position for the individual that walks through the door. By communicating with some clarity and confidence what you can bring to the table, they will often create a better position for you than the one that you're being interviewed for. Very important.
Your fourth one was being prepared for sensitive questions. What do you mean by that?
Every employer has been burnt by a previous hire. You know, the resume interview process of hiring has proven to be very ineffective and inefficient at times. And because not all employers are trained to hire, enjoy it, or are very good at it, they make hiring mistakes. So the sensitive questions are really meant to elicit information to find out whether or not you're going to replicate some of the problems they've had in the past with bad hires. It's really them trying to protect themselves from future pain.
What would
They're
be
not
an
trying
example?
to trap you
Yeah,
and
like
trick you
what?
into a bad answer.
Like what?
Well, perhaps you might have a personality flaw. Maybe you've got some kind of secret addiction. Maybe you're a closet agitator,
So
and
do
they're
they
worried
ask
that you're going to
or
create
they
problems.
Saying, so, do you have a closet addiction?
No, they will
No,
say
I guess
something
the
like,
employer would, right?
sure, they'll say they'll ask questions like, what do you think are your major weaknesses?
Oh, I
or
see.
in the past, did you ever have a conflict with a supervisor, and how did you resolve that? They will ask questions, usually a bit indirect questions. They're called behavioral interview questions. What if scenarios? What if this happened to you? Or what if you were put in this kind of a situation, to try to pull out of you information that might indicate one of these problem areas. Again, I want to emphasize it's not meant to trick you or trap you. They have a genuine interest in not replicating a problem that
For
they've
sure.
experienced
That
in the
makes a
past.
lot of sense. Last one. Ask for the job if you want it.
Yeah, I think
Be
you have
bold.
to be. One of the things that they're doing in an interview, by the fact that they've invited you to the interview, they more or less accept you have the skills to do the job. What they're really evaluating is, do you have communication abilities? Can we talk to this person? Do you have ability to relate to people, human relations skills? Do you have some enthusiasm for the job? You know, these are the soft things that they're evaluating. If they like spending 45 minutes or an hour with you, they'll probably enjoy spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with you.
Wow.
So if you have that kind of connection with each other, and you ask the kind of questions that indicate this job would be challenging and fun and it fits you, then ask for the job. Say, is there any reason that you wouldn't hire me? Or do I have the kind of qualifications that you're looking for?
There's so
Be
much
direct.
Thank you so
learn.
much, George. It's always
There's
a
so
pleasure
much
having you.
to
Don't
learn.
go away. We'll be right back after this.